We're live. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to This Is Twas Gaming, where you get to play board games with us! This is our honest review section of our Spotlight stream, where we like to do a review of the game we just featured. And in this case, that was Adventures in Zombiewood. Ooh.
It was zombies, not ghosts.
I mean, I guess. Hooray for Zombiewood. There we go. Is that better?
Hooray for Zombiewood.
Okay. So if you haven't had the opportunity, if you're watching on video on demand, go back and watch our Spotlight section of Adventures in Zombiewood. And if you are watching live now and you haven't seen the Spotlight, then you could watch this. There's no harm, no foul. But go back and check that out later because we had a good time with it. First off, who are we? I'm Matt.
I'm Ann.
I'm Josh.
And we were joined today with Michael from Adventures in Zombiewood. He was really awesome and gave us a lot of insight into the game, and we had a fun time with him. But first off, we would like to point out the Spotlight information, the sponsors for today's stream. This stream and all of this week's streams are sponsored by Adventures in Zombiewood by Baskerville Productions, as well as Tyler Sigmund's Crows by Junk Spirit Games. So big shout out to both of those guys. Getting into the nitty-gritty now. First and foremost, it's what was our favorite parts about the game?
That you said nitty-gritty and not meat and potatoes. I'm thinking the same thing.
Matt, you want to describe the game for everyone first before we delve into it?
Sure. So Adventures in Zombiewood is a cooperative game where we are trying to make the ultimate zombie movie on a tight budget. And the way we wanted to do that is by, well, first we're going to outsource our zombie talent to this casting agency. And unfortunately, they didn't really read the memo too well and gave us real zombies instead of people cast as
I
zombies.
think that's somebody going above and beyond the Call of Duty, quite frankly.
So, we decided we've got our option, we've got everything else in line, so why don't we make this movie anyways? Let's make it a hyper-realistic zombie movie with real zombies. And it's our goal to make the best movie possible while trying not to get all of us killed in the process. So first and foremost, let's talk about our favorite parts of the game. As this is cooperative, we didn't have a clear-cut winner, but since we all won here today, I'm going to start with that end of the table. Mr. J-Man, Josh, what did you think of the game?
This is so good. Matt's on a roll.
You sure you don't want to go first, Matt?
Just call me Butter,
No.
because I'm on a roll.
It's so good. I'm enjoying this so much.
Well, since Josh is incapable of starting right now, I'll take it, I guess. So I really love the concept of this game. It's so quirky, and it's unique in that aspect for sure. So I don't know how you come up with that idea, but it's really cute. And I first of all, the humor. That is
grade A Matt humor.
Wow, that is my humor
If
all
you
day long.
do not understand why Matt is in such a great... he's on right now. It's because he's been warming up for the last hour and a half.
This game took my personality and printed it as the flavor text on the cards, and I've been just riffing with myself for the last 2 hours. So I really appreciate the humor in this game a lot. I appreciate all the zombie references and everything, so the weapons, the items, the scenarios all have kind of a callback to a zombie movie that you are, going with. And they're not explicitly spelled out, but you could use your best judgment and figure it out pretty easily.
Like your snack cakes?
My snack cakes from what was it, Zombieland? We've got the records from Shaun of the Dead, the gun from the Winchester. Yeah. So stuff like that. I really enjoyed that. Thematically, I enjoyed the game as well, and I like that it ramped up in difficulty as you were playing.
Yeah.
And that's something that I really enjoyed about that. So, Anne, how about you? What were some of the aspects of the game that you enjoyed?
Okay, so when I knew that this was going to be a zombie movie, I have to tell you...
Zombie game.
Sorry, zombie game.
Zombie movie game.
Let me know when you're done.
Go for it.
You sure?
Mm-hmm.
That was good. Mm-hmm. When I heard that this was going to be a zombie game, I was a little concerned because there are so many zombie games. And zombie theme is not my favorite.
Okay.
But this is a really cool game. I loved the idea of how this is presented as a co-op game. And let me explain a little bit more of what I mean by that. We all worked very independently to defeat our zombies. I like the fact that our equipments were segregated. Like, we weren't working off of a pooled resource. Mm-hmm. What I really liked the most was at the end of this, we went through all of these zombies and at the end we won the game, but we didn't really win the game.
We won poorly.
Yeah, we won poorly. So, but what's cool about that is that instead of being so focused on us winning as a group, I was getting the most enjoyment out of playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't worried about, all right, are we all going to make it out, or is Matt going to do something stupid to kill me?
Thank you.
And constantly rotating the actors made it a lot of fun too, because I wasn't attached to my one character for the whole game. Yeah. So even if you did do something to kill, you notice how I'm pointing out that it's you being a jerk. To kill me, the next round I would have had something. So I wouldn't have felt like out or off put or what have you. So I think that was probably my favorite part of the game, was that it was a co-op, but it's a game focused on the fun in the game and not the end result.
Right.
I like that.
I'd have to agree with that I feel that the majority of the enjoyment comes out of mid-game gameplay, not I'm going to beat you or we have to win, and it's just it's the journey, not the destination.
I can't.
Inspirational quote of the day. So Josh, how about you?
I enjoyed the theme. I mean, good zombie movie's always good. Even though we made a horrible one.
We made a bad zombie movie.
I don't think we made a B-rated, because like B-rated movie would have just had a lot of really bad deaths and really bad CGI.
You killed someone with an umbrella through their bullet hole.
That is true. That is very B movie.
And our green dye were green screening. So we had bad CGI.
We did have bad CGI. There you go.
True. All right, I will concede on that point.
Okay.
But no, I found it fun. I found the bullet mechanism.
There you go.
Interesting. I do like that. The original rules was when you use a bullet, you can only reroll 2 of your dice, not all of your dice. So there's some difficulty in there. What I do note is when we did play the game, there's a couple cards that need rebalancing, so I took them out. So there is... Can you give me those stack of actors over there?
I certainly can try.
Those are zombies.
Those are zombies.
Those are actors.
There we go.
So I took out the camera operator, which is during scavenge roll, you can reroll your scavenge dice. This might have been changed. These have been changed a little bit and rebalanced. Casting director, which is reduced spawn by 1.
Ooh, that's a little too much.
The director, which doubles combat time.
So speaking of combat time, I would like to point out that is an aspect of this game that we did not get a chance to play through during our
initial
spotlight.
playthrough.
There we go.
Yeah.
Our spotlight of the game, and that's because we are streaming. So we want to make a point of explaining each of the turns thoroughly, everything that's coming up, showing off the cards, and unfortunately having that timer isn't quite as conducive to allowing us to do that. So that definitely is going to change up the way the game is played when you're actually playing in person, because it's a lot more hectic and chaotic at the table. It's not so much of a defined, did this work, yes, no, what can I do? You need more instantaneous decisions to make things happen, and while, yes, that is going to affect the first 3 acts of the game, or first 3 scenes, the final scene where it's you versus the Horde, that's where that gets played into the most.
Yeah.
So that is probably the biggest area where we noticed kind of a discrepancy there.
Yeah. And then we also took out some zombies from the game, any of them that had triple explosions. So we would have had some 4 explosion zombies at the end there, possibly, which would have been extremely difficult to work with. So we had us change parts of the game so we didn't see everything where there's a little bit more difficulty, maybe, and we were doing a lot of scavenging and stuff. I think that made that a little bit easier.
Right.
So there's a lot of changes that have been done, and I just want to make a point that we didn't see everything the game has to offer. And that's one of the good things is there's a lot of replayability because of the different actions and stuff. Because we used 12 of like 30 different actors.
Right. There's a lot of actors. I
think there's like 5 different types. But yeah, we only had 1 boom operator, and there was 4 of them.
Gotcha.
So like, there's a lot of them. So just noting that there are some changes there. We only used 3 of the, what's the stack of location cards? What did you say they were?
The scene cards.
The scene cards?
Yeah, so we used 3 of them. There's, I believe you said 12 in the game?
No, that
Oh, no, there's more than that. I think you said 18, actually. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
And each one of the various scene cards has its own unique attribute or unique modifier for that particular scene, right?
Right. So I counted 18 here. So yeah, they all have different attributes that get affected by whether what Z celebrities get drawn, or just in general some generic ones as well. So that has a thing that changes every scene that you're in. So every game's a little bit different, and you can custom tailor that, as Michael was saying, to either kind of replicate a zombie game of your choice, like a zombie movie of your choice.
So I think he said you
past,
do outside mansion carnival to do Zombiewood.
Outside mansion carnival movie zombie. There you go. So you've got your choices to make your own zombie movie as well, or you can just do it randomly. That works as well.
That's what we did. He gave us a couple suggestions for ones to start with, and I just pulled a couple randomly from that. So we had that. I like the dice pool, how that worked.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was an interesting mechanic. I could see it once you throw the timer in there and trying to trade dice off to finish your thing would make it a little bit interesting. Like, add that challenge in there would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Right.
And I like the characters dying and going into the horde.
Yeah.
The actors, that was very...
I think that's a nice touch for sure.
Yeah.
So is there anything else that you specifically wanted to touch on?
I think we touched on...
The puns. I mean, I cannot overemphasize just how awesome the puns are all throughout the game. I mean, there's some that I missed because I'm not a zombie movie fan or zombie theme fan. So there are some that are specific to certain things that I kind of missed, but that's fine because those are geared toward the zombie fan.
Right.
But they're still funny. Like the one with Bill. Sorry, Bill.
Sorry,
with the
Bill.
darts. That was great.
Bill's eye. Sorry,
Bill's
Bill.
eye. Sorry, Bill. I love it.
So, Anne, how about you? Anything else you want to touch on?
No.
Okay.
Oh, and sorry. The rule book is going to have the graphic novel, and the one little one that came with this one, I was reading through, and it looks very cute.
It's adorable.
Yeah. The Waldo is so cool.
Okay, so going into maybe not our favorite aspects of the game, anyone want to start out? Anything that pops out to you in particular? Because I've got one point that I definitely want to make, and that is when you have 3 players and you've got only one of the casting call cards has 3 zombies on it out of your 4.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 of the 4 rounds, you're going to have at least one person that isn't actively participating in the fight.
I think where you have some of those abilities where I can give, like, I get a bit like I give a combat die.
Right.
I'm not fighting, so you could just have one of my dies. I don't need them.
That does.
I think there's some things in that scenario. I think at the same time you have the timer going on. If you are helping someone else with their roles, like we were,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to have that. I understand your concern there, but I think in a full-paced, hectic game,
kind of helping people point out which die they're going to
Yes.
need, and kind
one
of
person
active.
managing the bullets. So you're like, oh, I'm going to spend the bullet. Like, no, roll your dice. I am moving your bullet thing, basically. Like, I can see the board being a lot more hectic, where it was a little bit, since we played it slowly and calmly,
It had a
that
little
sense
bit
of
more
urgency wasn't there. So
undead time.
So I think when you have the 3 out and everyone's doing something, it's even going to be crazier because A, you don't have enough dice, and B, you don't have someone trying to manage anything.
Okay.
But no, I understand that. I can see that being an issue, but I think that timer...
And I think it also depends on the group that you're playing with as well, because some people will be more internal, whether how they want to do things. So that's one point to make for sure. My other concern was the bullets. I did feel that the unlimited reroll for the bullets
was a little powerful.
I think I would have liked to have played it with the keep 2. There was a few times where, I mean, the majority of the time, we were only re-rolling 2, maybe 3 dice.
I re-rolled my whole thing
Thanks,
once or
Matt.
twice. Like,
Well, okay.
I rolled 5 or 6 dice like once or twice because I had a horrible roll.
And I think that would have added a little bit more difficulty to the game, and I know that the game played easier than intended also because
we weren't
of
using
the
a
timer. So that is something to take into account. And we also I think it's kind of funny that we made it easy. You want to make it harder for yourself, so you beat the game better.
Yeah, that's that's probably my favorite part of how this game plays.
So just circling back, that's actually it. Yes, it was easy, but I did enjoy. I like that aspect, and I want to play again with it, where it's I want to die more
So I have a good movie.
to have a better score.
So how to get a 5-star? How many people do we need to have at the end? Yeah, since you're looking at the robot.
To get a 5-star movie, and we have 3 players, we would have needed 6 or less actors.
So just our final team, and everyone else dead.
Okay, that's fairly difficult.
So 50% of your cast needs to die.
I think a big problem also is that we hoarded a lot of the goods at the end there, and that made the final battle really, really easy.
Yeah, but no. So the other thing is, all right, if we let more people die, that final battle is going to be even harder because there's more zombies in it.
Correct. I think the interesting strategy...
Because you get 2 zombies for every person that
I
dies.
think the interesting strategy would be letting all of your survivors get killed to the easy zombies, and then killing the hard zombies.
That would be a strategy.
Yeah.
I do want to bring up, now that I'm looking at the prototype disclaimer, that there are a couple of important things that we need to make sure that we bring up while we're thinking about constructive criticism. There's going to be a five chipboard dials for the 6 shooters instead of this setup.
The paper.
The paper setup here, and it's going to have dials to keep track of your gun, your bullets. Also, again, and Michael mentioned this a little bit, the custom aluminum dice are not going to be part of the final game, but they are working with a dice manufacturer called Javelin Games to see if they can offer the dice to people, at cost. So they're not looking for a profit on the aluminum dice. They decided not to include the aluminum dice because they felt that it would at least double the retail price of the
I did
final
see
game.
that the aluminum dice are $39, so they are more than the game.
There's the 60-second timer, and a stretch goal is going to be... Oh, the chipboards are a stretch goal. Perfect. Another stretch goal would be Another stretch goal is the development of a mobile app to use as a timer instead of the sand timer.
That would be awesome.
Now, when I was looking at that, Mike did send over that there are some audio files that we personally decided not to play on stream because we didn't want to downgrade the audio quality of them.
Yeah.
But I can see now playing that, because I have anxiety.
Try to pull up the audio out.
I can see using the timer and also hearing this creepy, obnoxious music in the background.
Yeah.
How that would drive me nuts. Like, good nuts. Like, that would just add to the...
Thematic.
suspense in the game.
So just to point out, Josh is looking for the audio now. He's not.
So there's a game mat that's going to outline the deck layout for the table.
I'm a game man.
You're welcome. The stretch goals will consist of a PDF printable mat and a later stretch goal of including an actual printed mat with the game. And there's going to be the full-length comic book rule book. So I thought this is really nice. A lot of just personal note from us. I haven't seen too many times where we get prototype games, and it's very difficult to review a prototype game because there's a disconnect. Not as many people are as fortunate as we are to have these awesome game designers and publishers come on stream with us to be able to real time, and that's obviously an advantage for you guys coming to watch us live. You get access directly to the publishers and designers to ask the questions about the games that they may still have in production. So this little disclaimer on the back was really nice to see. Okay, I'm looking at the prototype game, but what can I envision this final game and the stretch goals beyond it?
All right, so this is the timer.
I'm going to put it up next to the microphone there. I like the crickets.
So it's a minute timer. That's the end of the timer.
No, stop. would die and then cry. That's what would happen.
In that order?
It was good.
Yeah, she's
Yes.
gonna have a dead crying body.
So, Anne, how about you? Is there anything that you particularly were not fond of, or something that you feel needs a little tweaking? Something to that effect.
I have two things. One, I guess I can't really speak to, but I want to ask Joshua what he
Yeah.
thinks.
Yeah.
You didn't seem to have trouble with the colors of these particular die.
No, and I don't think any.
Disclaimer: Joshua is colorblind.
Does any of these have a? Is that a green bullet?
Yeah, it's green.
Okay.
It would have been nice to see some sort of indicator, maybe a symbol or something different, to indicate what the color of the different colors of the die. That was one of the first things when you were laying out the components.
I didn't have an issue, and I realized all the characters I took out were the only ones that had a green bullet, so I wasn't sure like green bullets or cards to roll, so I didn't notice that. But no, I didn't have any issues with the colors.
Yeah.
I was okay with all. They chose 3 pretty good colors to use, and good shades, so that wasn't too much of an issue for me.
There's no quick reference guide. We are very fortunate, again, it goes back to having the publisher designer come on stream and help us and walk us through, and obviously we went through the first round without a timer, which helps us to pick up the strategy, but it would have been nice for me, somebody who has trouble with short-term memory, to have a quick reference guide to help me with turn order, because I was relying completely on you to remember the sequence. And I know they're talking about having the map, this is the game map with an outline, and that maybe that would be nice to include as part of the graphic design for that map, where a nice quick reference guide would. I mean, and just like bullet points. I mean, the game is simple. Once you go through a couple rounds, it's repetitive. So I wouldn't expect anything like super detailed on a map, but like, you know, scene areas, pull zombie, attack zombie, you know, like.
Pretty simplistic, yeah.
So that's.
I agree, that would have been a nice touch to add in there. So, Josh, how about you?
The one thing I'm gonna hit on is I'm not a fan of the graphic design work.
The graphic design work or the artwork?
No, the graphic design work.
Okay, why?
I think the item cards look busy. I thought the card cam's not up. Just the back, like that chocolate bar almost bleeds into the background.
I could see that.
And I find, like, I understand the theme. It's not my cup of tea, and that's my thing. I nothing against the game. Graphic design work is not my thing. The other thing, the rule book was a little bit to get through. I know it's a prototype rule book and it's probably still going to be worked on, but there is some confusion on there. And actually, how they have the Kickstarter page laid out is a lot cleaner, explaining the rules than the rule book. Like, I went to the Kickstarter page, it's like, I understand this game 2 times better than I did after reading the rule book. And I think the biggest confusion was the hoard at the end, which the Kickstarter page didn't go over, and the rulebook kind of went over, and I just wasn't 100% sure how that. And that's an easy fix, especially at the state they're in. But yeah, that's my biggest thing is just like the art's wonderful. The zombie art is great. It's just
And I think it was a nice touch also, having the actual actors and then, card cam's off, the actual actors and then their corresponding zombies on the back with their actual same artwork.
Yeah.
So I think that was a very nice touch. Anything else that either of you wanted to mention in regards to constructive criticism to the game?
Oh, more puns. More puns.
Oh, which graphics? I'm confused. Like the wisps.
TP, can you turn the card cam on? We can show that off, and yeah, like the katana's a decent example of that too, where kind of it blends into the background.
Yeah, it blends into the background.
Okay, so it blends a little bit into the background.
Yeah, it just makes things hard to see. I get the movie reel. I'm just not I'm not a fan of that style. So that's
the movie reel. on the items or the people. No, I get the movie reel, and it's part of the theme of the game, but I can see the background. Yeah.
The background's the biggest one. Like the folders, they're kind of. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just it's not my.
Oh, your particular cup of tea.
It's not my cup of tea. It just.
Did you have any trouble navigating the game based on? Let me rephrase that in a different way. Could you make a suggestion that would have made any of the graphic design elements would have made the graphic design elements easier for you to play the game?
No, it's all visual. Like everything was laid out very well, so I don't have any. I'm just it's not my cup of tea. That's all. But the biggest one is the background is a little busy making some. That's.
Oh, that reminds me, because we're talking about graphic stuff. So the ability that you have for your characters there.
Yeah.
Star.
If you just put that star next to it.
That's a good idea.
Because if he didn't mention that that's what that's for, if Michael didn't mention that,
it every time.
I wouldn't have realized that that's the effect that triggers that. The star is the resource needed to trigger that.
But when I say more puns, like there's duplicate cards, they have the same puns.
Oh, you'd like unique
I want
pun cards?
Unique puns. And maybe even unique puns on all the zombies that come out. Because that would be fun.
That would be puntastic.
But that's.
But it is like when you have a game where the fun is in the game.
Yeah.
Putting stuff like that, like the flavor text on the individuals, like because that's where you're gonna get all your fun. Like I get that. Like sometimes it's overkill. Like okay, you're throwing flavor text on something because.
But this is like this is kind of B-rated zombie movie kind of thing. And like I think everything should have the puns on it. The characters.
I think one of
the
the zombies should be a piece of bread.
I
want no explanation.
I think they said that level and make it a piece of bread.
Challenge accepted. But yeah, I just would like to see some more puns. That's because that was one of the funnest part of the game is reading the silly puns.
Yeah, they're all good. They're all really good.
Sorry, Bill.
And it also makes it all right. We're turning over the cards, and you're just like, oh, this zombie come out. It has this funny pun on it or something.
Punny.
That could be your card, Ann.
I'm so okay with being the piece of bread.
You know, a funny pun is punny fun.
Take that.
Okay.
Taken.
So I think that brings us to the most important question of the evening, and that is, would you play this game again? So Josh, how about you?
Yeah, I'll play this again.
I would play this game again, and I would play this with like beginner level. I would play this with beginner level board gamers. Like I'd bring this out on party night. It's a really easy game to kind of pick up, and it's a lot of fun playing the game. And I think this is a great gateway game.
It's a good gateway game. I'm not sure about party game because it goes up to 4 players. But yeah, I could see it.
A party with more than 4 people.
How many people do you know? You got all these friends.
Party.
I would play it again, but only with the timer. I felt that it was too easy without it. So
I enjoyed it.
I think that, I mean, that's a huge part of the game.
I would totally
obviously.
want to play it again with time.
And I think that it's the whole hectic aspect of it. I think is going to be a lot of fun too, just because we get frazzled really easy, and it's really fun. And overall, I really love the game thematically, and the gameplay was a lot of fun. As Anne was touching on, it's fun to play this game, not just to wind up at the result for this game. So, you know, thumbs up across the board.
And you come up with silly things like blowing up zombies with umbrellas.
Yeah, I like the whole aspect of, yes, you've got these 3 scenes, and you can really get creative and tie into it. Like, oh, this character's doing this, and then look, I did all this extra stuff. I'm using an umbrella, so I'm shoving it in this zombie's chest wound and and exploding it.
The billiard cue
into the baseball.
Into baseball.
Yeah, it's perfect. All right, so anything else you folks want to mention?
Just to thank you very much to Liz and Michael, who took the time tonight to join us and in chat and on Skype. I really appreciate that. It's really cool to have you guys come out and do that with us. Thank you.
All right, so thank you all for joining us this evening. This is going to be Twist Gaming signing off. As per usual, thank you all so much for joining us today. I would like to point out that this stream and all of this week's streams are sponsored by Tyler Sigmund's Crows by Junk Spirit Games, as well as Adventures in Zombiewood by Basketball Productions, which you just saw here, live on Twitch, or video on demand, one of the two.
Start on video on demand, like the video, and subscribe to us.
Like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. But, I'm Matt.
I'm Ann.
I'm Josh.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.